Making your way with mental illness takes everything you've got. Finding support at the Vail Place Clubhouse sure would help a lot. When you need to find your way, sometimes you need to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to be where you can be, your troubles are all the same. You want to be where everybody knows your name.
Good morning, Twin Cities, and welcome to Radio KVAIL. K-Vail, all recovery, all the time. This is the radio station of Vail Place, a one-stop shop for community-based mental health services that promote complete physical, mental, and social well-being, built on the values and rigorous standards of the internationally proven Clubhouse model, Vail Place. It's good to be with you again. I'm Anderson Kruper, who you may remember from my prestigious and very lucrative job at ZNN, which I left last year. All right, I was fired. I understand. I can say that now because I've been on the road to broadcast news anchor recovery, and today I'm celebrating my 1-year anniversary as the Radio K-Vail dramatically underpaid but personally highly satisfied anchor. I feel great, and it's because of what I've learned at Vail Place. In fact, I'm not only working through my broadcast trauma, but helping other former broadcast news anchors with a peer support program that I started. It's been very successful, but sadly, it is a rocky road. Brian Williams, who had joined our group not long ago, has relapsed back into the clutches of the broadcast news addiction. We're here for you when you're ready, Brian. But let's get to our exciting, creative new lineup for today's program. We're going to get real. We're going to mock, oh wait, did I say mock? We don't do that here. We're going to poke a little fun at a few reality TV programs using their formats to highlight realities that many people know so little about. What is it really like to live with a serious mental illness? Why is Vail Place really so unique and effective at helping folks on the road to mental health and, in fact, whole health recovery? So, with no further ado, Radio Recovery reimagines reality TV, sponsored by North Memorial Healthcare, a leader in delivering advanced medical care, primary, urgent care, and specialty services in Minnesota, partnering with Vail Place to create a total care collaborative in North Minneapolis, North Memorial Healthcare. Our reality journey begins with Extreme Makeover Recovery Edition. Your host, Tylee Perkyton.
Thank you, Anderson, and good morning, everybody. Today, on Extreme Makeover Recovery Edition, we're going to introduce you to David. David was diagnosed with schizophrenia when he was 34. Because of his illness, he lost touch with his family. Here's his sister, Martha, to tell us about that.
David was sleeping all the time. He had blackouts. Our grandmother got him to start therapy, but when she died, he just disappeared with no idea where he was for a couple of years.
David had stopped taking his meds and ended up living on the streets. He was repeatedly picked up by police and delivered to jail, or, if he was luckier, to the hospital, where they'd get him on his meds, stabilized. But when they released him back to the community, the whole process repeated itself. Fortunately for David, during his last hospital stay, he was referred to a case manager from Vail Place who convinced him to come in and meet with the Vail Place Recovery Design Team. We're going to take a trip back to that day 2 years ago, when David met with our recovery design team. Lola, our case manager. Thomas, who handles housing. Carl, our employment counselor. JJ, who's a peer support specialist. and a Vail Place member. And me, Tylee. I focus on community support. Welcome to Vail Place, David.
I don't think this is the place for me.
If that's what you decide, David, that's okay. Nobody here is going to force you to do anything. But tell me, you have been in and out of the hospital and jail a lot in the past couple of years. Are you okay with that?
I don't ask to go there.
When you're not in the hospital, you're living on the streets. That's got to be pretty tough.
I've got friends on the street. It's okay.
But the police pick you up sometimes.
There's no reason for them to pick me up. I'm not hurting anybody.
Well, sometimes when you're passed out from all the drugs, maybe you get hassled by the folks passing by, and you react, and you think that you're going to end up in jail. That's got to be scary.
I get called names and beat up sometimes in jail.
Tell me, David, what's a good memory for you?
Well, when I was living with my grandmother, I was studying to be a certified nurse's aide.
You were happy and doing well?
Yeah, I had my own room and my own bathroom. My grandmother helped me a lot. She got me back to school.
Oh, to be a nurse's aide.
Certified nurse's aide.
Sounds like you were really into that.
I almost got my certificate, but my grandmother got sick. I took care of her before she passed away.
What if you could live like that again, in a house with a nice room, or an apartment?
And what if you go back and finish to get your certificate for a certified nurse's aide? How would you like that?
I don't know if I could do that now.
What if we made a plan together and you set a goal and we all work together to help make that happen?
Sounds hard.
I've been through almost exactly what you have, David.
Aren't you staff?
No, I came here just like you, and it's changed my life. It really is possible.
David, we'll work with you every step of the way and give you all the support you need.
You tell me what to do?
No. No. You would be given choices, and you would decide.
It's like having a big family around you. What do you say?
I think my grandmother would want me to give it a try, so I suppose I should.
So what do you think, team? What's the best makeover recovery strategy for David?
Well, guys, you're seeing David on his meds. He's going to go off them soon, and then he won't accept any help. Getting him to stay on his meds might be the first thing we need to tackle, but it's going to be tough.
But I think I can help, Lola. I struggled with staying on my meds. My story might help him.
I'm sure it will, JJ, but we should start right away to find him housing. Whether he's on his meds or not, he needs a safe, stable place to stay.
Ain't nobody got time for that, Tom. We've got a vacancy rate of less than 2% and a waiting list of over 8 years for a Section 8 voucher.
But there are still options, Tylee, like group residential housing. And we've been aggressive and successful going after unexpected voucher opportunities. And his family seems willing to get involved, so maybe they would help, at least for a while.
Family's a good idea, Tom, but I know he's got some guilt and other things going on there. Not sure he'll be open to reconnecting quite yet.
But Lola, he's going to need personal connections. Right now, his only friends are people on the street. If he starts coming into Vail Place on a regular basis, he's going to connect with people who understand him and accept him for who he is. He is going to feel safe.
Yes, and maybe he'll get involved in the work order day and do things around the clubhouse.
Yes, and he certainly could.
Yes, I totally think so. You heard how much being a certified nurse's aide meant to him. School and work are positive triggers for him. I think we can build on those.
Yes, and I'm sure there are a lot of other positive triggers that we don't even know about.
Yes, absolutely. Let's find out as much as we can about his history and what's important to him.
Yes, and whatever other supports and resources he can tap into.
Yes, we can give him hope if we can find out what hope just looks like for him.
Is our Vail Place team ready to put him on the road to recovery?
Yes!
Go Vail Place!
Extreme Makeover Recovery Edition is sponsored by Health Partners. Great care and coverage all in one place. Health Partners. We'll be checking back in on David's extreme recovery makeover later in the program. But now, on to our next bit of, God, thank you, Jonathan. This news just in. Clubhouse International, the accrediting body for Clubhouse programs worldwide, has designated Vail Place a Clubhouse International orientation site. Vail Place will provide introductory sessions for programs interested in providing Clubhouse services. Wonderful news! Let's give ourselves a pat on the back. Yes, yes. This means recognition of our commitment to our mission and of our operational excellence, which we couldn't accomplish if we weren't making efficient and effective use of the public and private dollars that support us. And speaking of dollars, we're going to take the business of fundraising and make it real. It's our brand new pledge show, Spark Tank. The show that tells you exactly what dividends you get when you invest in Vail Place. Spark Tank is brought to you by TCF Bank. Financial tools and products that suit your lifestyle. In rhythm with your life, TCF Bank.
And this is Spark Tank, where hopeful nonprofits get a once-in-a-lifetime chance to pitch the sparks. Seasoned nonprofit investors in hopes of getting an investment and gaining powerful profit partners to grow their nonprofit.
And who precisely are the Sparks? Well, they're people just like you. Well, they are you, in fact, and Tony and me as well. We are people ready to invest, ready to set fire beneath a good cause. And now, let's introduce some Sparks, starting with the two of us.
I'm Tony, a self-made man. I started my own business, which has made me a bundle of money selling products virtually no one needs, but a lot of folks buy anyway.
And I'm Alice. I write a phenomenally successful blog about things that I know very little bit about. But I'm nasty, and I'm funny, and advertisers love me. And this guy over here, excuse me. Ooh, this guy right here, this is Dwayne. Dwayne works for a nonprofit. He's definitely not part of the 1%. But he regularly invests generously in various nonprofits through payroll deduction because of a passionate belief in doing good. We love Dwayne.
And well, here's someone I don't know.
Hi, I'm Cindy. I just wandered in. I heard there was some free food.
Well, great. We're always looking for new sparks. Maybe Radio Recovery will inspire you this morning to invest in Vail Place.
Well, I'm impressed so far, and the food has been really good.
Thank you.
Well, a happy tummy makes investing more yummy. Today, our Sparks will hear pitches from supporters of the highly respected Twin Cities nonprofit, Vail Place. First up, Laura.
Hello, Sparks. I'm the mother of a son with schizophrenia. His name is Tommy, and he's actually very much like David in Extreme Makeover. So I've decided to shorten my pitch and just ask you to listen closely to the Radio Recovery Program. You'll learn everything you need to know about why you should invest in Vail Place, and we'll make it easy by pitching a number of suggested investment levels.
Such as?
An investment of $1,000 a year for 5 years.
Well, what's the return? What do I get?
You get a range of services for people with serious mental illnesses, and also an understanding support network, which includes peers and incredibly compassionate staff.
And?
It only costs about $10 a day to provide all that for someone like David or my son Tommy.
So
your return is $1,000 investment in 100 days of the best mental health support around.
Well, that's a great donation of $1,000 per year for 5 years. But I'm thinking I'm going to wait to decide until I hear all the pitches.
I'm thinking that's something all of us Sparks would agree with. Back to you for now, Anderson.
Well, the sparks have begun to fly. Electrifying when you think how far these investments go. More sparks in just a bit. But next, we have... John. All right, thank you. We're interrupting our program again, and apparently my breathing, with more breaking news. The Vail Place Hopkins Clubhouse, long stressed for space to keep up with its growing needs, is about to reopen after a total remodel. expanded kitchen, more program space, and a health and wellness center in the basement, previously occupied by admin staff. Now, admin staff are not wandering aimlessly, by the way. We just want you to know that. They found a new home, along with case management staff across the parking lot in our new office building, all made possible in part by grants from the Otto Bremer, Polad, Wells Fargo, Beverly, and Granger Foundations, and other generous corporate and private donors. And I'd just like to point out, though many Vail Place program areas receive public support, which is always at risk, it is the generosity of private donors, folks just like you, as a matter of fact, that makes it possible to more fully meet the needs of our members and to reach out to serve the more of the thousands in our area who can benefit from our program. Just thought it was a good time to mention that. The generosity of private donors. And also a good time to mention that Radio Recovery is also sponsored by XL Energy, Associated Financial Group, Amon Martin, Success Computer Consulting, and Integra Telecom. Which brings us to our reality game show, Who Wants to Be a Mental Healthionaire? Your host, Regis Has-Been.
Thank you, Anderson. And welcome to Who Wants to Be a Mental Healthionaire, the quiz show that gives contestants the chance to win essential knowledge about our mysterious mental health system and the chance to win the title of Mental Healthionaire. Our first contestant is I'm a Clueless. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a Clueless.
Thank you, Regis. I am so excited to be here.
All right.
Okay.
To this mic. I know you're excited, but please quiet that down and direct your energy to the questions I'm about to ask.
I'll try.
So you know how our game works, right, Ima?
Not really.
Well, it's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a series of questions about mental health. They'll start out easy, but get harder as we go. If you get the right answers to all the questions, you'll be a mental healthionaire, making you an ambassador to help combat the stigma surrounding mental health. Are you ready to begin?
I'll do my best.
Well, just in case that's not good enough, remember that you have 2 lifelines. Call a friend or ask the studio audience. Let's play. First question. How many people each year have a diagnosable mental illness? A, 1 in 4, B, 5 in 20, C, 25 in 100, or D, 1 in a million?
Oh, I know this one, Regis. D, 1 in a million has to be.
That was supposed to be a gimme, Ima, since the first 3 all equaled 1 in 4 and would be correct, and the last one was just plain ridiculous. Still, this is not your typical quiz show. We actually want you to get to the next level, so we're gonna move you on anyway.
Oh my gosh, I did not know I'd be doing so well.
Frankly, you're surprising all of us. Your next question, and remember your lifelines. The reason people with serious mental illness die 25 years younger than everyone else is the result of A, chronic medical conditions, B, socioeconomic and lifestyle factors, C, inadequate primary health care, or D, all of the above.
None of those sound right to me, Regis.
That's not one of your choices, Ima.
Well, I suppose the closest to none of them is all of them, so I'll go with D, all of the above. Final answer.
Remarkable, Ima. And more remarkably, that is correct.
Really?
Yes, indeed. And now your final question, and your chance to be a mental healthionaire. The national average employment rate for people with serious mental illnesses is about 12%. That's a true fact. For folks who participate in the Vail Place employment program, however, it is A, 10%, B, 12%, C, 15%, or D, over 20%.
I'd like to use my Ask the Studio audience lifeline, Regis.
Okay, our buzzer system isn't working, so I'm just going to ask for a show of hands. I say again, the national average employment rate for people with serious mental illness is about 12%, but for folks who participate in Vail Place's employment program, it is A, 10%, B, 12%, C, 15%. Really glad I haven't seen any hands so far. Or D, over 20%. Well, the audience thinks it's D, Ima, and some of them look educated.
That is way over what I was thinking.
Oh, I
so
heard over, and there was only one over among the choices, over 20%. Did I hear final answer?
I didn't say final answer.
Final answer, you heard it, audience. You are a mental healthionaire. Now go out and fight stigma, Ima.
I won! I won!
Thank you, Regis. If you can make a mental healthionaire out of Ima, well, we need to put you on our legislative advocacy committee. Next up this morning, the show that has caught the entire mental health system, and in fact, all of America, by storm, So You Think You Can Recovery Dance. The show that gives artistic form to the profound process of recovery from mental illness. Your host, Kat Zeeley.
Thank you, Anderson, and what an enthusiastic audience we have here in the Twin Cities. It is great to be in Minnesota. You betcha. This is the final stop on our national audition tour, and we are expecting to see great recovery dancing here, an area that is well known for supporting the nexus of art and mental health, and indeed, whole health recovery. For the 2 or 3 of you who have been living under a rock and don't know about our show, here's how it goes. Our contestants, all individuals with serious mental illnesses, will briefly share their recovery stories and then perform dances they have choreographed to represent those stories. Our distinguished panel of judges will then evaluate how successfully each story has been rendered as dance. And now, say hello to your judges. The always picky and pedantic Nigel Pissigo. Our queen of overreaction, Mary Smurfy. And the always apparently sweet and caring Paula Dole. Now, let's bring out our first contestant, Jeremy.
Welcome, Jeremy.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
You know how this works. You have a minute to tell us your recovery story, and then you must dance it. Cue story.
When I was 25, I began to hear voices in my head. Eventually, the voices overwhelmed me, completely took over, and I was freaked out. I checked into Abbott Hospital and was there for a month. The voices in my head quieted down when I took medications for the first time. In the hospital, I heard about Vail Place and decided to check it out. I felt so welcomed when I went to Vail Place, but I was still real nervous at first. Then I started going on activities with members and staff, on walks at different parks, playing softball and volleyball with the Vail teams, and getting out and seeing the cities. That not only helped me come out of my shell, it taught me that life can be fun again. Members reached out to me, and I began to feel more at ease. Through the work order day, I started doing dishes, which are still my specialty, and helping cook meals. And I started feeling strong enough to help others. I felt and still feel a great sense of gratitude to Vail Place.
Are you ready to dance?
Can I ask a question?
Okay.
What sense does it make to dance on a radio show?
Dance is transcendent! And you are very handsome.
Okay. Let's cue music.
To feel the fresh air on my skin, and I'd like to breathe, and I'd like to live.
touched my soul and then my funny bone. The transition you made from anguish and helplessness to joy and playfulness was so lovely, so heartfelt, and clearly so genuine.
I've been lucky. My parents have always been there for me, no matter what. They encouraged me to go to Vail Place, which has had such a big impact on my life.
And which was beautifully captured in the last segment of your dance.
I'm really grateful to Vail Place for helping me find my own apartment and for helping me get my self-respect back. Folks at Vail Place say hello when I walk in the door, and thank you when I help out. I can always go there and feel supported.
And here's another place you can go, Hollywood, to join our other So You Think You Can Recovery Dance finalists.
I am so there. Thank you. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Mom.
Our next contestant, whose recovery has also been impacted by Vail Place, Susan.
I understand, Susan, that there's somebody you'd like to say hello to.
I'm dedicating my audition to Dina, my 16-year-old daughter, who's in school today.
I'm sure she's very proud of her mother. Okay, cue story.
Well, I had to leave school when I was 12 because of trauma from abuse. I didn't know the visions, lack of concentration, and sadness were from depression and PTSD until I was diagnosed 8 years later. By that time, my life was a total wreck. I was on drugs, homeless, living in cars, vacant buildings, and getting beaten up pretty badly, which added brain injury to my troubles. I entered a rehab program and got my life back on track. Then I had my beautiful daughter. I was so excited to be a mother. That kept me clean and sober. But addiction got the better of me. I ended up homeless again and lost my daughter. I was in despair without her until I finally saw what I wanted, a place to live, no drugs, and to raise my daughter. Staff at a shelter referred me to Vail Place. Vail Place helped me get into an apartment, I got off drugs, got my daughter back, and now I'm building a better life for the two of us.
Okay, cue music.
Susan, you just transformed in the middle of that piece. What inspired that?
I was in court petitioning for custody of my daughter. Right there, before the judge, my phone rang. I recognized the Vail Place number, so I answered. Staff told me my application for an apartment was accepted, and the judge granted me custody of Dina.
Oh, Susan, that's such great news. In your movement from that point on, you can tell that your life really turned around.
Vail Place has made so many things possible. I've learned new ways to cope with my brain injury. I want to own a home. I've been attending an adult literacy program so I can try to keep up with Dina. She's such a good student.
Well, if you win So You Think You Can Recovery Dance, it might just get you closer to owning a home. We've got your ticket to Hollywood.
Really? I don't believe it. Dina will be so proud. Thank you, thank you.
Well, Vail Place is clearly having quite an impact on its members. So what would Vail Place need to reach the needs of more people? More money! Hey, handsome, would you like to dance?
Okay. Well, that's our show for today. Join us next time as we move to Hollywood for the finals of So You Think You Can Recovery Dance, the only show that puts dance on the radio.
I feel electricity in the air, which must mean that it's time once again for Spark Tank.
Don't you know it, Anderson? I, for one, am itching to find the right investment opportunity.
And maybe it will come right now, Alice. Our next Vail Place supporter to make a pitch is Nan.
Hi, Sparks. I'm Nan, and I'm both a member and a board member at Vail Place.
So, you know how the place runs from all sides.
Yes, I do, Sparks, and I want to pitch to you this morning is that Vail Place is an incredibly well-run organization that provides unequal return on investment.
Well, I'm going to need just a little bit more than your word on that.
How about 1, 34 years in business, 2, longtime public and private partnerships, 3, great financial management, and 4, being named Provider of the Year by NAMI Minnesota last year.
Impressive. So what level of an investment are you pitching?
I'm suggesting investment of $5,000 for 5 years by taking Laurel's cost structure per individual and expanding it into the community.
You're talking about the $10 a day it costs Vail Place to provide services for one person.
Yes, look, in the Twin Cities metro area, it costs around $1,000 a day for an inpatient psychiatric hospitalization and well over $3,000 a day for crisis psychiatric hospitalization.
Now that's quite an impact on healthcare costs and taxpayer dollars.
Exactly.
If, as you're implying, Vail Place helps prevent hospitalizations?
It does, and it prevents a lot of other public costs by providing the kind of ongoing assistance people need to become and stay self-sufficient.
Well, I like your cost-benefit analysis, Nan. So that's a donation of $5,000 a year for 5 years. And now I'm looking forward to the next pitch coming in our next segment.
Which will be in just a few minutes. But now, you are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Vicky. Judge Vicky is dedicated to seeing that all people with serious mental illness in our community receive the services and the support they need, and not just any services, recovery-based whole health services that promote complete physical, mental, and social well-being. The people are real, sort of. The cases are real, very close anyway. The rulings are final, but not binding. This is Judge Vicky!
People, remember, this is a courtroom. Any more outbursts and you'll be doing a long stint as a volunteer at Vail Place. I realize that's a reward, not a punishment, but that's how I run my courtroom. Bailiff, will you call the first case?
This is case number 97 on the calendar. The case is Jameson versus Well-Intentioned Hospital.
Mark Jameson is a 47-year-old man living with bipolar disorder. He's been to the Well-Intentioned emergency room 27 times the past year, and 6 of those times he was admitted to the inpatient ward. He is bringing a claim against the hospital for not providing him with an adequate discharge plan. Representing Well-Intentioned is Thomas Doubtful.
So, Mr. Jameson, you are claiming that Well-Intentioned Hospital released you each time that you've been been a patient without giving you a detailed discharge plan. Yeah, you keep going back to the hospital.
They give me a few meds to take with me and a prescription for more when I'm discharged. That's it. I'm homeless, Your Honor. I can't afford the meds. I'd take them, I would. Without them, I'm lost in the streets again, picked up by the police and at some point back in the hospital. But if the hospital could do something, tell me where to go, what to do, when I'm released. Doesn't the hospital owe me something so I don't have to keep going through this?
It's a good question. What do you have to say to that, Mr. Doubtful?
The hospital is doing everything it's required to do, Your Honor.
Well, that may be true, but it doesn't make any sense. If you would refer Mr. Jameson to a case manager who can work with him during his discharge.
We are a hospital, Your Honor, and we're not in the business of...
I'm not finished, Mr. Doubtful. Connecting Mr. Jameson to community resources and follow-up might get him stabilized in the community so he doesn't end up back at your hospital. You've got an emergency room revolving door there. Costs the hospital a lot of money and the taxpayers a lot of money, right?
Money is exactly the point. What you're suggesting is pie in the sky.
You are in contempt, Mr. Doubtful. And about to do a long stint as a volunteer at Vail Place.
Your Honor, we don't have the resources to provide those services.
Well, then partner with somebody who can.
Not just anybody can provide those kind of specialized services. I think what you're suggesting.
You're not thinking, Mr. Doubtful. Vail Place is providing exactly that kind of discharge planning in partnership with North Memorial Hospital, creating a total care collaborative to meet the physical, mental, and social needs of people like Mr. Jameson here.
Your Honor, I insist you recuse yourself because of your ties to Vail Place. It's a conflict of interest.
Give me that. My interest is in giving the people like Mr. Jameson a really good shot at living independently in the community. The state of Minnesota seems to agree with this vision since they provided an innovation grant for Vail Place in North Memorial. And our team is working hard to find additional funding, even as we speak, to keep this valuable partnership going. Hardly pie in the sky. Put your energy into solving the problem, Mr. Doubtful, and not maintaining it.
I don't know what to say, Your Honor.
Well, then I'll say it for you. My ruling is that well-intentioned hospital be required to set up a pilot project with Vail Place case managers, and they will use Mr. Jameson as their pilot case. Court is adjourned.
Join us next time in the court of Judge Vicky. When Judge Vicky is not gaveling, she's working tirelessly as the executive director of Vail Place, which, needless to say, meets the highest standards of recovery-based whole health services. Additional support for Radio Recovery comes from Bremer Bank, Frederickson and Byron, Lease Financial Group, Interium, and Move as One. When we last heard from Tylee and the rest of the recovery design team, they took us back 2 years when they had just begun an extreme makeover for David. Well, Tylee, are you ready to move that bus and reveal that recovery?
We're about to just do that, Anderson. It has been an amazing 2 years that's involved every one of us on the design team, hasn't it, guys?
Absolutely, and kudos to JJ, who really got things started by introducing David to the clubhouse and other members.
Well, he was ready, I think. His first time at the clubhouse, he responded well to how welcoming everybody was. But the third visit, he was already volunteering to take on tasks.
That sure made it easier for the rest of us. Since he wanted to be there, it was never a problem to make an appointment to work with him on housing.
Or on unemployment. He went step by step through the entire program.
Well, maybe we should just bring David in and hear from him. Let's move that bus.
Why do we say that, Tylee? We don't have a bus.
Lola, I don't know. How about we just say, here's David.
Works for me.
Hi, guys.
Hi, David.
So how extreme has your recovery makeover been, David?
It's been very hard work, but really worth it. I've got the right medications to keep me balanced and structured. I have an apartment not too far from Vail Place, so I can walk there. And I've done well with some temporary jobs, and now I work regularly at Kowalski's.
They really like you there, David.
They're nice. I like it there. And what I really like is coming into Vail Place to talk to people, staff and members. I go there at least a couple times a week, and I volunteer when I'm there. Vail Place has meant so much to me.
There are hundreds of people like David right here in the Twin Cities. With the right treatment and support, each one of them has a chance for their own extreme makeover recovery.
The perfect note, I'd say, to lead into our final spark tank. Will it be pitch perfect?
Making your way into the Spark Tank, Reese. Good morning, Sparks. I'm Reese, a Vail Place member. I came to Vail Place a little differently than some of the other folks you heard from this morning, pretty much by chance. A friend of mine who is a Vail Place member invited me out to breakfast with several others. After we'd sat and talked and laughed for a little while, one of them turned to me and in a kind of joking, non-confrontational manner said, "Aren't you kind of depressed?" Well, I'd never asked myself that question before, at least not so directly, though actually I'd been living with anxiety and depression for most of my life. That's not uncommon. I'd never dealt with it, never acknowledged it. That Minnesota, Scandinavian upbringing, like you see on Prairie Home Companion sometimes.
Since I also had lived with a sensory disability, I felt often not accepted, that life would be hard and I should limit my expectations for the future. When I came to Vail Place, suddenly I found I was accepted. Having had that conversation, given me the impetus to see a therapist, to get a diagnosis, and to get my membership there. I found I was accepted for all of the things I am, my talents, my creativity, and even my quirky sense of humor.
That's great, Reese. So what kind of investment are you asking for?
Well, I have 2 pitches to make this morning. I'm asking those Sparks that can to invest $10,000 a year for the next 5 years.
Who would consider a level of that investment?
Someone who knows what dramatic changes Vail Place can make in the lives of its members. Someone who knows that big investments make big returns. That they can turn chance, like me stumbling across Vail Place, into intention and opportunity.
Someone like the Haggertys?
Exactly.
Though they couldn't be with us this morning, Ruth and Dan Haggerty have asked us to share that they are pledging $10,000 a year for 5 years.
Now let me ask, I just got one question. Now why would they make such a generous investment, Reese?
Because they've seen how much of an impact, life-saving, life-changing, that Vail Place has had for people like their son, or me, or thousands of other people in the Twin Cities who need the types of services that Vail Place has to offer.
Let's go back to our friend who stumbled in. Cindy, what do you think about the pitches you've heard?
Well, I'm totally impressed with Vail Place, but I can't make a high-level investment.
Well, of course she said that she's just super impressed with Vail Place, but she's questioning what level of investment to make.
That's my other pitch. Maybe you can't do $10,000 a year for 5 years, but anything you can give is valued and appreciated. Just $10 a day provides all the services that Vail Place has to offer. That's one day at Vail Place, and that could be the day that changes someone's life.
Thank you, Reese. I know I've made my investment decision, and I hope you all have too. But before we finalize those investments, I'd like to introduce our radio recovery company, and please hold your applause until the end. Paul, Richard, Jonathan, Carla, Cece, L.A., Tom, Renee, Shauna, John, Kathy, Vicky, Jane, Robin, Emily, Tyler. And I'm John, Chair of the Vail Place Board of Directors. Thank you. I'd also like to make a very special thank you to Mary, Irie, and Stefano Laverso for their time, energy, and creativity in putting this entire production together. It's tremendous. Now, table ambassadors, would you please pass out the pledge packets? We're going to give you all a few minutes to fill out your pledge forms. You've heard what an incredible impact your gift will make at various levels. As you will see on the pledge forms, these pledge levels include our Circle of Involvement for $1,000 a year for 5 years, our Circle of Inclusion for $5,000 a year for 5 years, our Circle of Inspiration for $10,000 a year for 5 years, and of course, we value any pledge or one-time gift at any level. Your table ambassadors can help you with any questions. We'll give you a few minutes to fill them out. Thank you. Okay, one last time, I want to thank you all for completing your pledge forms and for coming today. And before we part ways, I'd also like to thank again all of our event sponsors who completely covered the complete cost for today's event. Also thanks to our ambassadors and the table hosts for inviting all of you to join us here today. And as a token of our appreciation, We wanted you to leave with a memento, one of the mugs that are on your table. Thank you from Vail Place for your continued support, and please have a great day. Thank you.